right, and we're back. It's New Mutator and Adrenaline, and we're actually going to be bringing you games 4 and 5 of the DE4 match between TMNS and WTC.
Are we gonna do these together?
Do what together? 4 and
The
5?
yeah.
Yeah, unless you don't want to.
I don't really give a shit either way. Whatever.
All right. Well, me neither.
All right. Let's do it.
All right, so I forget exactly like everything that happened. Oh yeah, it was pretty close, blah blah blah. So far WTC is up 2 games to 1. And yeah, so what's happening with this map here?
Well, the map you can see the game type's last man on the hill. It's a fairly wide open map, and oh man, playing that other game just completely fucked my mouse settings.
Right? Yeah. Like it's gonna be all screwed up. I'm gonna do this into 2 parts. So this is gonna be the second part. So
Of what?
of the match. I'm gonna split the match into 2 parts.
Oh, okay. I thought you were gonna do individual games.
Yeah, no, I'm doing something new this year. But
Oh,
anyway,
okay.
people don't really care about that, do they?
No,
Maybe they do. I don't
I
know.
don't know. I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah, you'll check it out. You'll see what I'm talking about. But
Yeah.
anyway, what was
Yeah.
I gonna say?
I
So
don't know. I'm gonna alt tab out for a second. I gotta close this game I got going on in the background because it's completely fucking with my mouse settings.
do you want to redo it?
No, no, no. I'm good. I'm good. I just
All
exited
right.
and yeah, we're. I don't know. My camera's moving like super slow. It's weird. It's like I'm back at default values again. Yeah, whatever. Let's do it.
That's pretty whacked out. So there's five
Yeah.
dwarves here for WTC. Thor again captaining for them. Only 3 for TMNS. Tiri I think is captaining again. So far he's doing okay. I mean they
Uh,
won 1 game, they lost the next game, but it was pretty close. It
I'm
could have
thinking.
turned out differently.
Yeah, absolutely could have. I'm liking the looks of the TMNS trade a lot more here.
Yeah, so
Uh,
WTC has a lot of archers,
they got a lot of
max
archers,
pus,
which isn't bad,
a lot
but
of dwarves.
you can see TMNS got a lot of Myrmidons, 8 Mercs, or sorry,
Myrmidons.
Myrmidons, whatever. Always
Jeez,
confuse
come
those
on,
two.
man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And
And Thrall,
yeah, and Thrall, just to kind of beef up their
their melee.
numbers, and
Yeah.
really what that is all about, the melee on this is mostly, or the slow melee anyways, the warriors, those warriors breaks, warriors and Thrall are going to be mostly defense to defend their artillery,
Yeah.
and those Myrmidons I'm assuming are going to be used to
Offensively.
offensively, maybe not to necessarily rush, but to pick at them and distract them from the sides, from behind. And WTC is not going to have that ability. They're going to have to fight them straight up, basically in a line here. They got, unless they split off into warrior flanks, which I don't think they'll do. Oh, they might. No, I don't think
Um,
they're going to.
they have like 4 people with warriors.
Yeah, but I don't see anything that's going to be rushing here because each of those warrior packs also has a dwarf.
Goals. I don't know. Yeah, it doesn't seem like a rush-ish
No.
kind of trade here. It seems more like
Game on.
BC, I would
Yeah,
say.
and I'd say one big mistake that Thor has made here is he's given all of his bowmen to 2 people,
3 people.
whereas, well,
Shadow, Slate, and Gecko.
oh yeah, you're right. Okay, yeah, Shadow does have a group too. So 3 people, whereas
Even though
they
they have
may have
fewer archers, TMNS has like 4
they
people
have
on archers.
four
So
people using, yeah, so they're going to be able to kind of micromanage that a little better.
which can more than make up for the discrepancy in archers there. Now the other thing I want to point out too is the Heron Heroes and how vital they are to a team's strategy, whether offensive or defensive. For instance, Heron Heroes by themselves can basically invalidate like all of those Thrall that we see here
Well, no,
by themselves. But that's the thing is,
not necessarily true.
they have to be in a vacuum to do so, right? Like there can't be anything else like dwarves or anything.
Well, there's that, but you got to realize that Thrall interrupt Heron heals. So
True.
one at a time, yeah, they're gonna dismantle them. But as long as you keep those Thrall in a tight box, you're gonna do damage.
Yeah.
They could just come in, heal, run out, come in, heal, run out. But there are gonna be dwarves nearby,
Right.
unless
So
WTC has some magic pussing.
right. So by themselves, they're not going to be able to do that against like an entire army of mixed units. But
Yeah.
if it was just like the Thrall were defending a flag, and and I actually casted a game with Samuel. That's going to be posted soon, where he does just that. He has some Heron healers, and he basically takes out like an entire Thrall force on a
Was that
flag.
what map was that?
That was
Com?
Calm. What's that? No, no,
Com
no.
of
It was oh man, I can't think of the name. It was golly, can't think of it. But it was who was it? Agents versus I want to say WTC. It was bottom bracket
Yeah,
finals.
I don't know. I really haven't watched any of the games of this entire. I've been
Flag
kind of gone through
capture.
this entire tournament. I haven't been around since
I wouldn't say the entire tournament.
well,
Tournament.
I played in the qualifying rounds, and that was about it. I've been on vacation. I've had other kind of social engagements, priorities. It's tough.
Yeah,
It's tough.
it's definitely a tough thing to juggle.
Yeah,
So
but
we got some counter pussing going down here in the mid.
yeah. Anyways, back to the Heron Guard heroes here. What I think are going to be mostly used for here is healing,
Yeah,
keeping those
healing the
bowmen
archers.
alive. Yeah, I don't think they're going to be on offense really at all. It's hard to say. I don't know. Sheister's got that one in the middle. Maybe he'll go offense with that, and Captain's got the one near the bows. So I think he's going to be kind of responsible for the majority of the healing.
Would you heal goals? Would you heal your goals carrying pus?
If it was red, I would. If it was
Yeah.
like literally one hit away, because pus can be pretty important. Like they're a game changer for sure. So
So here we go. Tiri has a force kind of a little bit to the west there of the WTC main force. Nice
yeah,
pus there.
that's kind of what I predicted. Oh yeah. Okay, I must be a couple seconds behind you, but that's all right.
Yep.
Speed it up a little. There we go. Yeah, I know what I predicted at the onset. Tiri kind of flanking in behind. If nothing else, he's gonna distract.
He's
Ideally,
doing something. The
he's doing
scouting
something.
force. The scouting force for TMNS was that Shyster is finally getting wise to what's happening here, because basically it's just WTCs all together.
Yeah. Well, it's slap out on the hill. I mean, it's kind of your best bet in an open map like this. Ooh,
Yep.
who was that? Let's see, Zach just took out Slate's dwarf. That was pretty nice. He had a nicely placed flame. Followed it with a couple arrows. Good play, good play. Oh, that was too bad. I don't know whose pus just died. I went to click on it to find out who, but not enough dodging.
What time you at?
I am at 7:20.
Okay, I'm at 7:15.
Okay, I'll speed up a little bit.
Mind.
Okay, what are you at now?
7:08, 7:07,
Yeah,
7:06.
okay. Yeah, we're perfectly in sync now.
All right, so it looks like Thor and Toxin are gonna, move to meet up Tiri, basically drive him off. And,
But
Rar was kind of in there too.
Tiri's doing what he should be doing though.
Yep.
He's pulling a big chunk of their force off with very little. Like he's just got
Yep,
that small
definitely.
Merm flank and a little bit of pus.
Definitely.
They're committing a lot of units to that, and you see
Yeah.
now Sheister's pushing from the middle, so they got kind of the numbers game playing in their favor. So
Yeah, and they are ahead just a little bit in terms
mean,
of percentages.
yeah.
As well.
And that's what I was saying last game. It's not all about damage. In theory, he's not doing a lot of damage here, but he's playing a pretty key role, doing
And
what he's doing.
I think in terms of archers too, TMNS is on top. As was that took some archers in the back, Donsky, who's actually playing this game.
Nice.
But I think they're doing pretty well because, as you can see, WTC, a lot of their archers are in the red. They've lost a number of archers just standing around.
Yeah.
So
I think Captain's been doing a good job with healing, and I think TMNS has had a little more effective pussing as well.
yeah, perhaps.
And let's see. You can see
Tyr's going
Kilgrath.
for that that dwarf and misses with the pus, but he's gonna run
Oh.
in. And it might open it up. Yeah, there's another pus. There's that Tyr has another pus. He's gonna throw it down and misses again.
Just hit the warrior in the head, but
Yep.
he should be able to.
Oh, and his Myrmidons get counterpussed. That's not good for
That was
Tyr.
like, that was just some bad luck right there. Unfortunate.
Yeah, so now it's like really close. It's in terms of percentages, the numbers game is pretty close.
Yeah, it is. If they were wise, you can see WTC's only got one dwarf sitting there with their bows.
5
If
minutes.
somebody else could have got in more.
They got 3 sort of.
Yeah, well
now
they
at
do
this
now,
point.
but while Tyr was distracting, would have been a good time for Captain to rush in with his merms, and if not kill, at least distract their bows, and TMNS could have probably done a lot of damage with their bows. But I see he's flanking now. He was obviously a little more concerned with the healing aspect of things, but
Yeah,
I think that would have.
looks like there's 4 dwarves remaining in all for WTC, so I
Yeah.
think only 1 has been taken out.
Well, yeah, but Tyr had them pulled back quite a bit. I think Captain would have been pretty. I think a good move by him would have been to rush in with those merms while those dwarves were in there.
Tyr's rushing in right now.
Yeah, I mean,
He's trying to make a move for his team to do something, but I don't know if it.
that's the
it's
thing.
worth it.
He's just distracting, but you can see he is distracting Shadow
Oh,
right
now
now.
it's worth
so
it. Now it's
it
worth
is.
it because you know, Flatline and Zach were able to move into the void that created.
Yeah, yeah. But just that little bit of distraction, it tied up Shadow for a minute, so suddenly it's. I don't know how many
now
bows are remaining,
TMNS
but
is in the lead.
well, they've got a huge bow advantage at this point.
Yeah,
And
they were
I'd
able
say,
to take out quite a few.
I mean, props to their archering, but Tiri was pretty heads up, doing what he's doing with the distraction that really gave TMNT that window, or sorry, TMNS that window to do a little more damage with their bows, give them the numbers advantage. Because Shadow, unwisely, and he's still doing it. He's shooting at Merm. Like, leave the Merm alone, man. That's your melee's duty to protect you from that.
It's almost a foregone conclusion at this point because if you're gonna fight like a BC battle, that archer duel is super important. You have to come out ahead. Otherwise, you know, all you have is a rush, and I don't know if they have enough to rush, especially with all the thrall and stuff.
Well, do they even have any pus left? I don't think they do.
Yeah, that's the other thing. I'm not sure about that either.
No, they definitely don't. So at this point, they can't rush. They don't even have enough melee to rush. Right. They're certainly not gonna, you know, duck and weave in there with their dwarves and do anything.
So Captain having all his Myrmidons at this point is actually not a bad thing.
Well, I mean, it's never a bad thing to survive. But I think he could have been pretty effective had he pushed with those earlier while Tiri had those dwarves and a bunch of their protective melee distracted and behind. But he was preoccupied with the healing of the bowmen at that time. I'm not going to fault for that. I mean, you know, he could have taken the initiative and done that. Nobody told him to do that.
Yeah, so WTC is going to disengage and I guess go for the flag. I'm not really sure what they hope to accomplish here.
Well, there's 2 minutes on the flag, so they basically got to reposition. So they're in contesting. Is that
contesting range anyway?
Contesting range, contestion. What the fuck am I saying?
Contestation.
That might be. What
might be. I don't know.
Yeah,
English is hard.
it really is. It really is. But yeah, there's really not much they can hope to do here. They've really been outgunned this game. This is actually kind of I mean, the numbers, it's only about a 20% gap right now, but I think this is going to be a landslide victory for TMNS, I think.
Especially if these archers continue to connect with stuff. It's just going to make that gap wider. So that's the thing is, like, you know, WTC at this point, they have a lot of warriors. But that's kind of balanced out by, you know, archers and thrall, right? Like 2 warriors equals an archer and 1 thrall.
Well, they've got several warriors, but they certainly don't have the numbers on TMNS right now. Yeah, this game is a foregone conclusion at this point.
Yeah, what do you think about even the Heron Heroes only have like one or two heals remaining, so
Yeah.
oh
I
nice
see
puss.
Kilgrass got 3. But this is uh this is why everybody thought TMNS would
30
win this
seconds.
game or this match. They
Is that
do
friendly
out
fire?
BC.
Shadow with the friendly fire.
Yeah,
That was
so
pretty hilarious.
they do out BC.
Yeah, there's
For
nothing
those who
that can
don't
be done.
know the Mythlingo BC body count, it's just
Right.
a styled play where it's just kind of focused on killing. I think TMNS definitely has a more skilled team in that aspect. So
Yep.
on an open map like this, they'll win
It's now or
90% of the
never
time.
for WTC, and they're
Wow, no,
trying to move
it's
in
done.
for the flag, but there's
There's
very little backing them up.
there's
Right?
nothing they can do at this
They just have
point.
Gecko's dwarf, and that's it.
Yeah. So anyways,
Gecko's
back to what
dwarf
I was saying.
survives.
Stop interrupting me.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, back to this match. This is why it was such an underdog win for WTC to pull this out, because really they are outgunned. You stack these teams up side by side, and TMNS definitely has, a more powerful team on maps like this that is wide open, last man on the hill. You can't really fuck up that game type. It would be TMNS is going to win, 75% of the games, if not more. But I think WTC really did a good job in this match of playing to the game type, because they're the weaker BC team, but they got some smart players as well. Gecko, certainly. I mean, that first game, he's the one that sent that
That flank.
small force around that
Yep.
flank that really got them going.
Yep.
And I think they just played better as a team overall so far in this match.
Yeah, the third game. What would you attribute that to? The game three, of course, was the forest giant duel with all the pus, the profligate pus everywhere.
Yeah, I think.
Was that just Lizard King's superior FG ability, or
No,
like?
no, not at all. I mean, he was pretty solid with that, but really no more solid, I think, than Shyster was. I think Shyster did a pretty good job with that. I think that came down to TMNS just squandering their pus and lack of artillery. They went for the rush strat, and they weren't able to take out the artillery and
Hmm.
push like they should have been able to push, or would
Yeah,
have liked to have been able to push.
could have been strat, the trade slash strat slash unit distribution as well, because
Well,
they had a lot of units left over, but they were all the same types of units,
yeah,
right? They were all
yeah.
like spiders and what was it, ghasts, and that was all they had.
Oh, I remember the game a little better now. It's not that they really played it that bad. Yeah, they did waste some pus. It's just they lost that flag advantage and just got kind of tripped up near the end. Had they been on even one flag, I think they had the numbers to pull it out.
Yeah, it would
Uh,
have been close. Yeah,
it would have been close, but honestly, I think it would have been their game. But I mean, Thierry, he's not the captain for this team. He wasn't supposed to be captaining. I think he just took over because after
he had
game one, it
delay.
was just
Yeah,
well, there's that as well. You couldn't do the heavy hitting really. He's still been playing fairly solid, but
sure.
I think they just wanted somebody with a little more experience at helm,
So
and Tyrion definitely has that.
who do you think would have stepped up? Like, who do you think should have stepped up if it were you? Judging from who's on their team so far.
Uh, Scheiser, he's actually a really good captain. He's captained for NC a few times in Ska's absence. I've definitely had him cap many like Rabble games before. He's a very clever player, strategy oriented, whatever. Uh, he's a thinker, like but
Strategist.
he's a strategist. He's just got a good eye for the game. He's a really good captain, but he's not a
Good.
player you want to take out of the
Yeah.
role that he's in right now to put in the captaining role.
Hmm.
So really, like Zach was our choice for that because, in terms of sheer skill, he's one of the weaker players on the team, but he is on the team regardless. So we put him at the helm, and hopefully, we were hoping he'd do a good job there, and he did. He did fairly solid all tournament. I think this match just kind of fell apart, but he was pretty decent in every other match I saw or participated in, which I guess was
Well, so far
not very many.
he's only captained one game in this match, and game five, I hear he resumes the. I don't want to spoil anything, but he takes up the mantle of captain once again.
Yeah.
And I guess with that, we're going to move into Game 5. So,
Sure.
yeah, so far, TMNS has tied WTC in this match, 2 games apiece, as we move into Game 5 coming up next.
Are you gonna stop? Or do you want to just roll right into it?
Yeah, we can do that. Let's do that.
All right. Just gotta find these out.
All right, and we're back. It's a New Mutator, joined once again by Adrenaline, and we're actually going to be casting the final game of the match between TMNS and WTC. So this was right before TMNS had expected to make it to the bottom bracket finals, and this was the team they had to go through, WTC, who, I, I'm not really sure what happened with them. They did fairly well from what I can tell, and they picked up some extra players, which was actually a huge boon for them from DR when DR got eliminated. Which is a pretty interesting feature when you think about it. Picking up players from a team that got eliminated in the same tournament.
Was it we got eliminated, or just people abandoned ship because that team wasn't showing up? I'm not really sure.
I think it was a combination of both.
To be honest, I haven't really paid much attention to a lot of the proceedings in this tournament.
Yeah.
So I really don't know.
Well, it's hard to keep everything in mind at once, but yeah. So TMNS was hoping to just breeze through it, I think, but right now it's tied at 2 games apiece, and they're gonna have to pull something big out here with if they want a chance at making it to the bottom bracket finals. WTC no slouches as they've shown in the previous games of this match.
I'm not gonna fucking comment. I'm pissed before I watch this.
Right. So that's the other thing. That's the other thing is this is your team. TMNS is your team.
Yep.
And for whatever reason, they decided to play without you. So
I don't really know what the reasoning was. I was posting constantly. I had cell phone reception anyways, so I had my cell phone with me on vacation. So I was in their private forums trying to tell them, like, look, schedule for Sunday, schedule for Sunday. I think a lot of people just didn't want to play back-to-back matches on Sunday. They thought no problem getting through WTC. I'd be there for the bigger of the 2 matches versus Agents and bottom bracket finals. I was fucking shocked. I logged onto the forums and saw the results for this. I was like, are you kidding me? You guys lost? And I see why now. It's
spoiler.
it's not that that WTC was just a stronger team. They just I think TMNS just collapsed, to be honest. I mean, having to put Thierry in a captaining role, he did a pretty good job captaining, don't get me wrong, but that takes one of our very heavy hitters out of that role. I know he was lagging and everything, but yeah, it's a tough break, and not having me there as well. I mean, on this map in particular, I'm seeing Scheister's got Tro duty. Normally, Scheister, he doesn't Tro a lot. That's usually my job or Thierry's job. I'm sure we have a couple other players that could Tro. I mean, Scheister, he can Tro, but that's not what he's used to. He's more of an artillery squad, and he's deadly with that kind of shit. Like in this instance right now, though I'm seeing this, they're kind of low on artillery. I would have given him
some fetch or something.
Fetch and melee, or a couple morts. I don't know why they only got 1 mortar.
Yeah, it's pretty curious.
Taking a look.
WTC only got 2, so
yeah, and 3 souls for some reason.
Yeah.
I'm assuming they're gonna
9 unit trading points.
Yeah, I'm just looking around. They're probably gonna put that on a hill somewhere on one of these flank flags, but doesn't really make a whole lot of sense.
Maybe like flag 4 next to that, or flag 5 next to that.
I really don't see the point of 3 Solus in this. I'd rather get an extra anything. They got no fetch, which
they got a white.
Yeah,
I don't know
they did.
You noticed that, but they're probably gonna sink that.
They've got no fetch, which is really curious. I'm actually shocked.
Well, here's the thing.
I know the outcome of this game, and I know.
Could Thor be? Is the rush beckoning Thor? Like, is he going back to his instincts, his roots?
I'm seeing the classic line map noob
flag captured. Right.
from Thor here. I don't know if he said it or not, but he's got one line on the map, and everything is kind of heading in that direction.
Flag
You can
Yeah, there's a
see
north force though that's not. Who's that?
that's
Thompson?
that's just a defensive force.
Yeah, true.
He's got some
Flag
taggers
captured.
going out. Oh man, the fact that Shyster is on
The wrong side of the map.
the wrong side of the map when this rush is
Flag
happening. I mean, you can't
captured.
predict that.
Flag
Yep.
captured.
You can't predict that obviously on the
Flag
outside. You can't like
captured.
scout their home at the beginning of the game. So it's through no fault of his own. That was a strategy for him to go there.
Yeah.
But
So
at this point,
Kron's
they're
gonna
getting
continue north. He's gonna move across mid, but it's kind of. I don't know. What do you think he should have done or should do given these circumstances?
who should do?
Shyster.
Shyster is doing exactly what he should be doing, and he's coming to the aid of the team. But at this point, I think it might be too little, too late. Like they're getting full-on rushed here, and if they lose all this artillery, that's kind of what they need to pull this game out. And they're about to lose all their fetch. Nobody's there to defend it in time. Oh man.
They saved one, it looks like. WTC lost a Tro, almost lost another one, and one is full health. And Shyster is just now arriving.
Yeah, but they've
Flag.
got a huge...
significant melee advantage.
Oh, Zach needs to turn around. It's suicide that Mort should have turned around and shot it into the face of that Zerk.
Yeah, that Mort did not pay for itself.
No, it did not. And now Shyster is kind of
In a bad
unable
spot.
to do much. Yeah, they've got so much melee left. Not to mention, well, they've only got really one. The other one is basically one hit away. If I was Shyster right now, I'd turn around, I'd freeze that, which he did. Exactly, perfect. He took a little more damage than maybe
Flag
should have
captured.
happened there, but
Victory
this doesn't
imminent.
look too bad. But they just WTC just tagged flag 8. It's huge. They are victory imminent right now,
They
so
just need flag 6, which
Which
is
is
completely undefended right now.
completely undefended.
And they're just gonna go for it. Gecko's just, you know, he's just gonna push for it, trying to get there in time.
Oh,
Zach's
man.
not gonna be able to catch up.
No, he's not.
Donsky's chasing Gecko.
At this point, I think Shyster maybe should have sent 1 or 2 Tro back.
He's trying to engage with the remnants of the mid force, trying to keep things even in terms of percentages.
He is. Zach's got this one. Okay, actually no, this is good. Okay, they cleaned up that little flank.
Yeah,
So I
so far
guess-
so good because Zach was able to hold on to that that flag. Although I don't know if sending probably wants to keep that crit on that flag for now.
I'd definitely keep some on D because you never know what's going to come around, judging by the first game. But at this point, it's a tough call. I mean, they need to go on the offensive, but they can't abandon ship yet because they still have a pretty large chunk of WTC's army to deal with there. If they just abandon this and go on offense and start trying to get flags,
They need to do something, but here's the thing: is Toxin has a significant army. He's got 20% tied up on flag 3.
He does, but he's not going to be able to do much against fetch.
Assuming that these Captain's Fetch stay in the game.
Well, what needs to be happening here, looking at the numbers, they should be giving Thierry.
Nice. So
Okay,
Shyster
no,
was able to clean up that melee force.
that's good.
This is pretty huge.
What I would have done in that situation is given Thierry like 1 or 2 fetch and a few melee, and just said, all right, go northeast. They still have 8.5 minutes, so almost 9 minutes, so that's not bad.
And Thierry has 0%. Or actually, no, he has something now. Somebody gave him something. He had 0% for a minute, though.
They obviously can't just leave that little flank alone. They need to kill that or chase it with a few, but these guys need to pull off some of their stuff and go on the offensive.
Yeah.
They still do have lots of time, but
Have somebody just chase it around, but you don't need more on that than then you absolutely need, right? Like,
Well, they still need 3 flags, so they really got to get on this.
yeah.
They need all the
Flag
northern
captured.
flags
Oh man, that was
basically,
close.
which are all defended. Okay, now they need 2 flags, so they need their home flag and northeast, which is pretty heavily defended.
Actually, Lizard King's Tro is looking pretty good compared to Shyster's
Oh
Tro.
shit!
So I
Well,
don't know if Shyster wants to do this right now.
he doesn't want to do this. Let me tell you. No, those 2 should not be fighting that one. His full health one that he is sending. Oh, he gave it to Tiri. Okay, so he's gonna run off with that. Hold on, I really need to sneeze. Hold on.
You know what's
Flag captured.
you know what's interesting?
Allergies.
Victory imminent.
Go on. I took my headset right off there, so whatever you said.
Zach's moving in with the land white, which is super interesting.
Where is that?
They both got land whites at this point.
I'm actually surprised that Kilgrath is running his Tro from these 2, because they're both within 1 or 2 hits, and like he's taking hits as he runs.
Yeah, that is pretty surprising. I think I probably would just stone one, stone the other, and then be done with it.
I would have danced around just enough to get in front of the one with less health, given that a shot or 2, and then focused on the other, and he should have still had enough health. Now he's got backup, but I mean...
Yeah. Meanwhile, Captain's Fetch are kind of slowly making their way across the map.
I'm worried
Flatline's gonna scout that. Yep.
I'm worried that somebody's gonna get whited here, because they got a pretty good advantage right now. It's not like a huge numbers advantage, but they got 3 fetch. Yeah, like Zach says, not enough guarding fetch. If Kilgrath and Shadow turn around and rush that, they might be out of luck.
Yeah, they do have a white. You can see it just barely underwater, guarding the crossing that they would most likely use.
Yeah, I'm thinking that's probably going to be a difference maker. I'm thinking these fetch might be getting whited, because I know WTC wins this game. Didn't want to give any spoilers. But at this point, it looks that TMNS should win this game.
Yeah, it looks like they were able to turn a bad situation around, right? Like
that
rush could have been really bad.
They played off that rush pretty well. Like, yeah, they lost a lot. It was too bad that Shyster was on the other side of the map, but there was not much that could be done about that, to be honest. It's kind of unfathomable to me that they're going to lose this game at this point.
They have enough. They have enough on defense, I think, for now. If it's just melee.
5 minutes remaining.
Yeah. They can't just end and ship, because you see Rars coming in with a few. They need to leave something, but I think both of those could have gone on offense at this point. And with all this melee sitting here, this is enough to keep off that 1 Tro and that handful of melee for sure. I'm gonna watch these fetch of captains.
As long as Shyster shadows Lizard King, right? Lizard King's moving in.
Go northwest, quick. I think this must be where it happens. No, okay, Captain took a zap at it.
It's not quite there yet.
He should have been doing that. What I do in this situation, I don't zap with all 3. You zap with 1, and typically the lightning will reflect. Okay, it didn't there. Keep doing that, Captain.
Well, even if he loses 1 fetch, I think that's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, he kind of knew it was there, right?
He knows
and
something
it doesn't
was
even
there, but...
he doesn't even kill it, so that's all right. That's not too bad.
Well, now I'm real surprised, because that is...
Uh-oh. Look at the south.
Oh shit. Where are the 2 Tro?
I don't know. That's what I was trying to say, is like those Tro should have kept tabs on
well, did they die?
No.
Did they die?
No, they're moving on offense.
Well, we had a lot more melee there. I don't know where it all went. I guess a lot of it
look
went
at the flag though. If they move
Yeah, no, I'm
now,
looking. Okay,
that
Zach got a
Tro
little.
has half health.
Yeah, Zach got a little overextended there.
So
And yeah,
that's
Captain just said they should have split the fetch 2-1. That's what I was saying earlier. They really should have done that.
Flag captured.
and
Oh,
Zach wasn't able to get there in time.
Jesus Christ.
Oh man, what a
Unbelievable.
close game.
Close, but really poorly played by TMNS there, which is sad to see. Like, Zach, this is the second game that I think he's failed
Well,
at.
to be fair, like I think Shyster maybe should have kept his Tro shadowing Lizard King,
I
right?
think he was fine to go. No, we had so much melee there. All of that should have been left. I mean, with the fetch that
Yeah.
we have on offense right now, and the Tro, that's plenty enough to clean up what they had. The fetch alone. I mean, you can't do much with a Mort against the fetch, right? Not given these situations. They don't have any really high hills to shoot off. They walked in, kept blocking it with the fetch, taking out the Morts, softened up the mauls, and the Tro should have been able to do whatever they needed to do, even just a few melee in there cleaning up. But Zach left that flag. They had plenty of melee there to keep that, no problem. That was just poor micro, and Christ, that's a heartbreaker, man. That's almost worse than the first game.
Yeah, that's two pretty hard losses, man. And because of that, they basically got eliminated
Yeah,
from the
pretty
tournament.
much.
No
Like,
chance.
Jesus, man. There was some
And they
really,
were TMNS is like one of the favorites to win it.
absolutely,
So this is a
absolutely.
pretty big upset when you think
Well,
about it.
pretty big upset, but I mean, at the end of the day, Thierry was having huge leg issues. I
You
was
weren't there,
missing. I
right?
was
Yeah.
missing from the
That's
match. I
that's
mean,
pretty big,
people
right?
can talk shit on the forums all they want, like, oh, like you would have made a difference. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, every match I've played with my team, I'm usually top of the statistics. People may be like, oh, it's not all about ratios. You're a ratio whore. I'm not a stupid player. I would have, I would have been doing the throwing on these maps, which is a position I'm very comfortable with. I'm good with them. That would have left Scheister to do what he's comfortable with. It really would have like reworked the dynamic of our team to what we were kind of built around and what we've used before and has succeeded. Uh, yeah, it's
This
really
was
too
a
bad.
It was an incredibly back and forth game when you think about it, right? Because
It was.
Thor with the C line rush basically had the jump on TMNS. Like
Oh, he had a huge jump.
all three
If
Tro for what was that? Shyster was
yeah,
out of the fight for the
completely
majority
out
of
of
that.
range. Completely out of range. Um, it's good he got back when he did. If he got back like 5 seconds later, that rush would have definitely succeeded. So good on Shy for getting back there in time. I don't think he did anything wrong leaving with those Tro. To be honest, if they stayed, like two, man, it they wouldn't have done much more good. I think if Zach stayed with this melee, I almost want to rewatch this just to see who left and why. But I think Zach should have stayed with this melee. Should probably left a fetch earlier. I know Captain mentioned should have split 2-1, and I made that call earlier when they were near flag 7. That's what I said. Like one person should be taking one of these fetch. Like if it's a Tiri, give him some melee. He can deal with this shit. Send the rest on offense, because really they didn't need all 3 fetch on offense to take care of 2 morts and a handful of mauls, and a few souls, a few melee, 2 fetch, and you should have been able to clean that up.
Yeah, so the reason why Fetch dominate Morts is that because they just have a higher rate of fire.
Yeah, they recharge or whatever you want to call it faster. They block mort shots. I mean, the mort
Yeah.
will shoot. You zap. You can zap pretty much wherever in line with that shot, and it'll blow up the shot unless the mort's on a high hill, which they're not. So basically, you just walk in, let them fire, lock it, step in a little closer, kill it,
Yep.
and yeah, that would have been that. And even if they, sent their mauls, spread them out to rush in and try to take out the fetch, those Tro coming up would have cleaned them up nicely, and a few melee could have got in, taken that flag, Fuck, this is disappointing, man. They should not have lost this game. I'm kind of shocked.
Yeah, I think Shyster did really well getting his team back into the game, right?
He
Because
did.
up until the end here, they were poised to take it. They were looking pretty good. They were I think they had a percentage lead. They had the right units, the right counter units,
Yep.
to take that last flag.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
it was just poorly managed, like how, what was going to be offense, what was going to be defense. I
Well,
think that kind of got in the way.
this again goes back to the captain. That is a captain's role, is to, have a good overview of what's going on in the game, redistribute units, looking at what flag needs what units to be near it, blah blah blah. Ska was pretty good at that. Like, we had a lot of success because of that. He was good with seeing what needed to be happening, and redistributing as needed. Zach, he doesn't have the experience for that. Like, in this situation, he should have known that those need to be closer. And I'm seeing him with this melee pack here as captain. He shouldn't even have that. He should have given that to Kron, and he should have been, looking at the map and making the calls, focus more on playmaking from above, or calling the shots, whatever, and
Yeah,
let the rest of the team handle the dirty work.
that's a
And
that's a pretty fair point.
in
Um,
this instance, he's got 5%. I mean, the only people with more is Shyster with the 2 tro, and Thierry with I don't even know what he's got. He's got 1 tro.
yeah,
Zach should not have that melee there. He should have dished that off to whoever was on defense, given it to Kron, given it to Flatline, and then directed traffic, so to speak. So yeah, I'd say game 1 and 5, Zach pretty much failed as captain, and that was the difference. Those are the 2 games they lost. Other than, what was the other game they lost? Oh yeah,
uh,
yeah.
game 3, I think,
Yes, Sleepy
with the
Hollow,
Forest Giants. Yep.
which I mean, it was unlucky. I wouldn't blame anybody for that. I mean, little things that happen. I can't really remember who to blame for that. Thierry was captain for that, so I mean, can shift it to him if you want, I suppose. But in games 1 and 5, I'm pretty confident in saying that Zach failed as captain, and that was the difference in this match, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, whether or not Zach is the reason why TMNS lost, it's still pretty. It's pretty tough because TMNS is like they're a top tier team, right? Like people have said that they're the most stacked for this tournament. They're
Well, not the roster that's present right now. I mean, we're
right.
missing
That's the other thing
Ravikin,
too.
myself. So, I mean, we're not at 100%, so we're a little bit crippled going into this match as is. Donsky's obviously, he's a great player. Good on them for picking him up. But, I mean, it is what it is. It's not our team. That's not our team at 100%, whereas WTC does have 100% of their roster. They got their best
Yep,
lineup
that's a
in
good
this game
point.
right now.
Yeah, that's I think it's pretty fair to say that. In terms of like who's actually been showing up, right? Because
Yeah.
they have attendance issues as well. So
Well, they did
um,
earlier on, I think, before the merger.
and like Slate, Gecko, pretty good, solid pickups from DR.
Absolutely. Maybe it's not their 100% best roster. I think Headhunter's missing from this
Yeah,
match.
yeah. There's other
Uh,
players, I guess, that could
yeah,
have been on this team,
yeah.
but who are they going to replace? Let's see, maybe Toxin. I don't know.
Toxin or Funky.
But Funky, did he even play? I don't even think he played.
Not in this game.
Yeah,
I
so
don't know.
I think it was just.
Headhunter's he's a pretty underrated player. He's very solid. Very, very capable role player. He's not a heavy hitter by any means, but very capable role player. I think he could have easily replaced Slate, Toxin, Rar.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. He's especially on light maps. Like, I've played with Headhunter for years, since, God, I don't know, 98, 99, something like on that
Oh yeah.
TFL. He played a lot of I'll Dance on Your Grave. That's where
Oh
he
yeah.
kind of got his start there. So he's very comfortable with light melee, dwarves, bows, and I've one-on-one with him a bit, and he held his own in the one-on-one tournament in one of the lower divisions. And I don't know, he's a smart player. He's definitely a solid player on this team, and I think if he was with them, he would have done pretty good things. I wouldn't say he's the best player on the team by any means, like, but
Would you say Lizard King is probably the best player on this team?
uh, no, I'd say Gecko's the best player on this team.
Hmm.
Lizard King being a close second. I think in terms of just all around who's better, I'd say Gecko is. But they're two very different kinds of players. Uh, Lizard King is more of a power hitter. Like, he's the guy you give Tro, so he's gonna rack up a lot of damage. He's gonna he'll he's very good with Tro. Like, he's their go-to guy for that. Forest Giant, whatever. Whereas Gecko is more of like a shyster type player. You know, you can give him a wide variety of units. You can give him like a handful of melee, a bunch of bows, a couple puss, a dwarf or two, and, you know, like whatever else, and he'll be able to handle that. Whereas I think Kilgrath might get a little tripped up with that much. But in terms of heavy hitting, yeah, he's the guy you want to have throwing for you. So two very different players, and that's GKG was making the arguments in the forum like, oh, I'd take Donsky over you any day. I mean, GKG's a little biased against me. We don't like each other very much. But same situation. Donsky's a very different player for me. You see, in here he's getting squads, like artillery squads, and Shyster's taking throwing duty. So that completely flips the dynamic of our team. Whereas I'm like Kilgrath, more of a power hitter. I will take the big guns, the Tro, whatever, and do what I do with that. And Shyster will be put on the multi heavy units. I mean, I could take that shit as well, but it just really changed the dynamic. I mean, in this instance, Thierry probably should have been doing the Tro, but because he has leg issues, you know, being in Finland and maybe not a very dependable connection. I don't know.
Well, I think part of it too is because there's no like dedicated host, and that everything's routed to it. You're connecting to like a player
Yeah,
that's hosting, assuming the host, so it has to bounce off that player's connection back to you.
that's
And I
true.
think Cryptos was the dedicated hoster for this match. He
Yeah,
was the third-party host,
yeah. He's
and
got a
I'm not
decent
sure.
host,
I'm not
but
sure where Cryptos is, but that
I'm not
might
sure
have something to
entirely
do with it.
either. Um, yeah, it's probably not the host for Thierry, but I mean, as a Euro playing in a pretty much North American dominated game, at least now anyways, I know there used to be a lot more Euros, just not so much these days. You kind of take what you can get. Obviously the majority in this game are North American, so you're not going to play on a Euro host for this. So I guess
Yeah.
there's kind of a mix actually. Donsky, Thierry, Gecko, Shadow, I guess, is Russian or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean there's a pretty big international presence on Myth, right? Like it's pretty
Yeah.
surprising. You wouldn't really expect it, but that's
Oh,
just the way it is.
there used to be a lot more. I mean, at one point there was a lot of Brazilians,
Oh yeah.
especially back on TFL. Like, there's a huge contingent of Brazilians. Even a few years ago, there was quite a few Italians that kind of came out of the woodwork. There used to be a lot of Aussies, a few New Zealanders, a lot of
Well,
Japanese.
like Flatline, he's Australian, right? Or New
Yeah,
Zealand. I don't know where he's from, but yeah.
I like to bug him about being from New Zealand, but he's actually from Australia. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
Slate might be Euro too, actually.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, I'm not sure from where. I don't know much about Slate.
So a pretty good, proportion of the players are not North American.
I
But
suppose, but they're
but
kind of spread around. They're not
yeah, they're
all.
not from one place,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Whereas there's a pretty solid, North American contingent that's
yeah,
anchored in one area.
yeah.
Although North America is pretty huge.
You're not going to see, these days anyways, you're not really going to see any tournament matches played on Eurohost. I mean, we've played on Eurohost before when we were playing the old NP team, when it was pretty much, pure Finnish versus pure North American.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess NC, we had a few Euros. We had Fire, who's German, Jusius, who's an old NPer, Zell, whoever else I don't know. But when we played NP, we would kind of alternate between hosts because, it's only fair. Their entire team's Euro. They should play the entire match on a North American host. Kind of gives an unfair advantage to us.
Yep, definitely.
But these days, I don't think you're going to see any tourney games that are hosted by anybody but North American. So surprisingly, Gecko's got a pretty decent connection. I've played on his host. I don't really lag much on it.
Huh, so I guess he could have hosted if nobody objected.
Yeah, I think people would object to him hosting every one of them. But I would have had no problem with him hosting a couple games.
Yeah, if
myself.
it meant Thierry had a better, more reliable connection, then sure.
Yeah, the thing is, I don't think WTC would be a team to give them that kind of advantage.
Would they even know? Would they even realize?
Oh, yeah.
Because, I mean, it's their player that's hosting, so...
Yeah, but really...
I guess Thierry would have complained, huh?
Well, Thierry would have loved it.
No, I mean, he would have complained to the chat, publicly, like, this host, I'm lagging on this host. He would have said something.
Perhaps. He would have been fun Gecko's host. I'm kind of confused what we're saying right now.
Oh, I just mean, like, I'm curious if WTC would put it together, that if Gecko hosted, that would actually benefit TMNS, potentially, right?
Potentially, well, at least Thierry, and that would put one of our better players back in, the driver's seat. I think they're kind of shiesty like that. I tried to get in and substitute for agents. They needed a couple subs. I basically had to ask for permission because the numbers didn't quite add up, and they refused it. They said no fucking way. So I think they're going to take any advantage they can get because they are considered the underdog.
You're talking about the bottom bracket finals, which was played post this match.
Yeah.
And
the next day.
That wasn't even really close. It would have been...
It was a fucking blowout. It was 5-0.
It might have been a lot closer had TMNS played, but which is all, it makes it all the more interesting.
Oh, it absolutely would have been. We beat them 3-2 last time we played them. We were at... full capacity then. Thierry wasn't really having leg issues. I was present. We had pretty much our entire roster there. We were prepared for the match. So that's the other thing. I don't think TMNS prepared very well for this match. I know Zach threw together some strategies, but
they were looking more ahead to the bottom bracket finals, you think?
Yeah, exactly. And Big Thierry took over captaining. I don't think he used Zach's strategies because he would have had to flip over to our private forums, read through all that.
Yeah, if you remember, he traded for a lot of goals in game 2, which was surprising. Goals have limited utility on that map.
Was that Shuffle?
Yeah.
Yeah. They're decent for speed, and that's about it. But other than that, yeah, they're pretty weak.
Yeah, I mean, there's Fetch, there's Warlocks, all the other melee basically dominates them.
Yeah.
Their utility is extremely limited, and I don't even know, can you even get pus on that map?
No.
I don't think so, right?
No, you can't. Basically, they're used to overwhelm with speed. So if you have a big pack of Zerks, Mercs, and Gulls, you can run through mid quick right away. In combination with your flank, your short side flank, which in that case would have been northwest, and try to pinch northern flank and just overwhelm with sheer numbers.
But then again, the whole entire rush thing, right?
Well,
what you were saying.
Full. I'm not talking like a full team rush. I think mauls they're not useless on that map, but usually you don't see that many. I've seen some pretty successful strategies with Gulls, when you mix, because they're cheap to trade for, right? You can get a bunch of them, mix them up with Zerks and Mercs, rush a big melee pack through mid, and then in combination with your short side flank, pinch their long side flank. So, say, you know, TMNS was northwest on that map. WTC is southeast. They could send a large contingent of Zerks, Gauls, Mercs through mid right away for the speed because they'll get there fast, right? Whereas Mauls would be lagging way behind. Send kind of an equal number north through the wall, followed by some artillery, and basically try to overwhelm that flank.
Well, thing with the Mauls is they're not any slower than artillery, so
They're not, but I'm talking about for the initial, just kind of crush and then fall back. You know, if you can get in, rush them, take out their artillery, or at least some of their artillery, fall back, and then you've got full artillery coming in behind. It's just one of those things to get you that quick advantage, to give you those numbers. What WC did there with their rush south, it's not normally the way you see it done. For a rush, I would think they should have rushed the other side, or it's going to be a lot more open. Yeah, that's basically my line of thought. I think they should have sent a smaller force south, maybe like a warlock or two and a little bit of melee.
yeah. So Thierry not really knowing what to do on that map didn't really
Well,
hurt.
it's not that he didn't know what to do. I think he just kind of stepped in, and there was
didn't
no
have,
real plan. He just
yeah,
traded.
he didn't have a set plan coming into
Yeah,
it. He didn't
he
know
just
he was going to captain, right? So he was just
no,
like,
he
was
had no
thrust
idea.
into the position. He was like, okay, well,
Yeah,
this is kind of, I guess we're just going to wing it, you know? So
yeah,
that didn't really hurt TMNS all that much because WTC didn't have like a real, didn't have like the best strategy themselves, right?
exactly.
Like their trading strategy kind of left a little bit to be desired, and I
I think
think
so. Yeah.
TMNS was able to exploit that a little bit.
For sure they were, and yeah, I think a whole bunch of factors. The fact that Tyr ended up captaining, trading, and strategizing on the fly. The fact that he wasn't able to be one of the power hitters because of his leg issues. The fact Shyster had to step into that role outside of his normal role. The fact that I was missing. I mean, there's a whole bunch of things that really played into this, and they went in underestimating WTC, and pretty much everything just blew up in their face, and we really saw that in this last game. And yeah, I don't know.
Yep.
Nothing really went the way of TMNS. It's a very atypical match because they are a solid team. I mean, we are a solid team.
I wouldn't say nothing, right? Because game 4 they completely dominated.
Yeah, that game, like I said, played to their strengths. It was a flat, open map, last man on the hill. All they really had to do was BC the other team, and they do have a better team on paper. So that should have been a gimme, and it was.
And
but
yeah. And like game 2, they managed to come out on top, despite having some issues, right? And the but where it mattered, you're right. Yeah, like games 1 and 5, when it looked like they were gonna win, they had victory snatched away from them, and WTC came out on top. So
and that was pretty much
that's what sunk them.
Poor captaining, to be honest. I mean, a better captain would have relegated roles a little better and had his eyes on the map. Like, really what Zach should have done on game 1 was keep one unit, scout the open flank, keep an eye on that, and kind of like tell people like, this is what should be going on, this is where you should be, let's attack this. He should have been coordinating the play.
I think
so
it's
that was
curious,
kind of his
right?
bad.
Yeah,
that was kind of his bad. I mean, other players should have realized as well, maybe we should send a flank up there. But honestly, that's not their job. That's why you have a captain. Like, the captain isn't just there to trade and hand out units. There's more to it than that, obviously.
Yeah, it's kind of curious that he just assumed that there was nothing on offense, right? That everything they had was on the flag. And, it seems like it could have been a reasonable assumption, but that's not what happened, right? So I think scouting that ahead of time probably would have helped a lot.
Well,
Probably
basically,
would have prevented that loss.
yeah, basically not scouting that corner of the map lost this match for them.
All
That's
right.
basically what it was. It's like a repeat of, oh shit, I don't even remember what match this was back in the day, maybe 2005 or something like that, 2006. Mercredon did not scout properly on, I think it was like Hiver or something. I don't really remember. I don't know my history that well, but it's kind of a repeat like that. That was a match costing decision or lack thereof, and this much was a repeat. So
Right on. Well, let's
it's,
leave it at that.
yeah, it's a pretty long video, I think. Staring at a stat screen, listening to Jazz talk.
Oh
Right on.
yeah. Well, you know, I think it's worth it, especially considering that this was a bigger upset than I think people were anticipating. Plus,
Oh,
TMNS is
absolutely.
they're out of the, you know, out of the cup contention, right?
Yeah,
They're not going to be able to take the cup this year, so it's going to be
yeah,
Agents and TMNT in the
yeah.
finals, and that's going to be this weekend. So.
And I gotta like throw myself under the bus a little while I'm at it, while I still have the chance. I don't know if anybody will still be listening to this at this point, but this is 2 years in a row that I've kind of let my team down. I wasn't there for a couple of big matches last year, probably bottom bracket finals, whatever else, maybe DE4, something like that, DE5. And I wasn't there when it mattered again this year with our match versus
It's a bad
TMNT.
bad track record.
It's a
After,
bad track record, but
yeah, nobody's gonna want to pick you up. You're a liability now.
yeah, well, I planned this vacation. I basically planned it so I'd be back for the Sunday, assuming that, you know, there wouldn't be two matches in one weekend and that it would be played on a Sunday as is per the norm, you know?
Yeah.
And it didn't work out that
Oh,
way.
because you got knocked out of the top bracket.
Yeah, but I couldn't be there for that match because I had my girlfriend's father's birthday party who we live pretty close to, and I had to be there.
Oh
Like
man.
basically, I would have been in the doghouse for a month if I didn't show up to that. And I tried to get them to reschedule that to a Saturday, and TMNT didn't want to play on Saturday. I guess they wouldn't have had their roster present if they did. So, I mean, yeah, it's my fault that I missed them, but there was other circumstances I just really couldn't get out of it. But I feel bad because, you know, I'm one of, not trying to like, you know, stroke my own ego here, but I'm one of the better players on our team, and it definitely does not help when I'm not there. So, oh well, c'est la vie, right? I think next year I'm gonna schedule my vacation for like earlier in July, so if I miss anything, it'll be, you know,
QR.
QR or the earlier rounds or whatever. So it shouldn't be a big deal.
Right on. Well,
If
let's
there
go
is a
ahead.
next year. If
Let,
there is a next year.
right.
Fingers
Right.
crossed. Yeah.
Well, yep. Don't how's the saying? Don't count your chickens before they hatch, or whatever that
Yeah.
is.
People
And
have been saying
maybe,
that there would be no next Myth World Cup for years, so it keeps happening. So who knows?
yeah.
Maybe it'll go for another 5-10 years.
Yep, who can say? And
Yeah.
so I guess we're gonna wrap it up there. And to everyone watching, thanks for sticking it out with us. And I
Yeah.
guess we'll see you in the finals, unless I decide to do some more coverage of some of the other matches before then. So, yep.
The money match.
Oh yeah, let's not
Yeah.
forget. When is that? Well, you can tell me
Uh,
after.
well, yeah, okay. Fair
All right,
enough.
we'll see you in the next match, everyone.
Peace.
Game over.
Oh, you got some little dogs there.